Have you ever struggled with mixes that feel muddy with too much low-end buildup? Well, today we're discussing a super simple tool to tighten up your sound, the high-pass filter. In this video, you'll learn what a high-pass filter is, why it's such a fantastic mixing tool, and how to set one up on a variety of instruments to ensure a cleaner mix. I've also put together a free high-pass filter setup cheat sheet so that you can dial in the settings every time. Just check the link in the description and I'll send it right to your inbox. This video is sponsored by DistroKid. If you're an artist looking to release original music onto Spotify or Apple Music, DistroKid makes it fast and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their royalties and earnings. So if you haven't already, you can use the link in the description to get a discount off your first year's subscription. And if you're a student or a teacher, there's a separate educational link for an even larger discount. Let's kick things off with what is a high-pass filter? Well, a high-pass filter is a type of EQ adjustment that's used to remove low frequencies from an audio signal. Now, it's called high-pass because it allows frequencies above the cutoff point to pass through unaffected while attenuating frequencies that are below that cutoff. And the slope of the filter is what determines how those low frequencies get reduced. A gentle slope of 6 dB per octave or 12 dB per octave is going to offer a gradual transition, whereas a steeper slope of 18, 24, or 48 decibels per octave is going to give you a much more aggressive cutoff. And it's this flexibility that makes high-pass filters such a powerful tool for cleaning up unwanted low-end rumble, managing sub-bass issues, and improving overall mix clarity by ensuring that only necessary low frequencies are present. Which brings us to why use a high-pass filter? Well, in many mixes, low frequencies from non-bass instruments such as guitar or vocals can create muddiness and conflict with your bass or kick drum. Recording with microphones can pick up rumble, plosives, and other noise that is not a desirable part of the performance. Using a high-pass filter helps to clean up the mix by removing these unwanted low frequencies. This gives each instrument more room to breathe, resulting in a cleaner and more balanced mix. So before we get into the specifics, let's go over how to set up a high-pass filter on a track. This is going to be a step-by-step method for setting up a high-pass filter to cut the mud while also preserving instrument fullness. So pull up your favorite parametric EQ. And on the far left there should be something that looks like this, where it slopes down to the left. So we're going to pull that up, and now you can move the frequency cutoff wherever you like. You want to listen carefully to each instrument in your mix and identify its fundamental frequency. This is the lowest frequency at which the instrument resonates, and it's what's responsible for giving the sound its fullness and body. Now, it's easy to find once you've heard it disappear with the high-pass filter. So go get some headphones or some good monitors and bring up your high-pass filter until you start to hear the sound get thin. For instruments like guitars, vocals, and keyboards, you can start by setting the high-pass filter between 80 Hz and 120 Hz. For bass instruments, you can still use a high-pass filter, but set it much lower, between 30 Hz to 60 Hz. This will maintain the fundamental of the bass instrument while still sculpting those sub-bass frequencies. And of course, you can adjust this according to the specific instrument you're working with and your mix requirements. Typically, I find that it's best to work with a gradual slope, something like 6 dB per octave, to ensure a natural transition between the affected and unaffected frequencies. Higher slopes are more abrupt and can be used for monitoring isolated frequencies. Also, I thought it might be fun to note that the Neve 1073 features a high-pass filter with a slope of 18 dB per octave. Finally, listen to the instrument in the mix with and without the high-pass filter engaged. Compare the fullness and clarity in both cases. You're going to want to fine-tune the cutoff frequency and slope as needed, trying to find a balance between removing unwanted low frequencies and preserving the instrument's character. So close your eyes, don't look at the number, and increase the cutoff. Listen for when it starts to thin out, and then back it off until you have the full sound. And I find that's going to be a good starting place. Okay, let's look at some examples of using a high-pass filter on different instruments. Let's begin by listening to a vocal track without a high-pass filter, and then we'll add one in.
I have been drowning. I can't make it this far down.
Notice how the vocal becomes clearer and more focused? We've rolled off all of the rumble in the sub-bass frequencies to clear up the voice and allow us to focus more on the higher frequencies that are important to this performance.
Can't see the bottom, still the world just circles round and round.
Filtering the lows also helps to bring clarity to bass instruments, as they can be heard more clearly with less obstruction. Up next, let's talk about the guitars. So for electric guitars, sometimes the low end can overlap with the bass. So applying a high-pass filter at around 100 or 150 hertz can definitely help the guitar to sit better in the mix without losing any of its body. So we're going to be removing the low end to avoid masking with the bass guitar. And finally, let's talk about the drums. So even here, we're going to be filtering out a little bit of bass. And if you're looking at treating something with a lot of low end, like a kick drum, a floor tom, or a drum bus, a high pass filter is a really fast way to take off just a little bit of subs. By filtering out those sub bass frequencies, you can reduce muddiness and add definition for the kick and the bass, and improve mix clarity by eliminating unwanted low frequency buildup. So by using a subtle high pass filter around 20 to 40 hertz, we can tighten up this drum mix while keeping intact the power and impact of the drums. Now, other percussive sources may require you to bring the cutoff much higher. It all depends on the tracks that you're working with. But ultimately, you're just trying to clean up your tracks and remove stuff that's not necessary to the mix. When it comes to EQ, it's really easy to do too much. Be careful not to cut too much out of your tracks. Leave some body in there. Over-filtering can really thin out your sound, so use a gentle slope and listen carefully on some good monitors to ensure you're not completely destroying the low end of your track. And always EQ in context. Soloing a track can be helpful for isolating frequencies, but remember that the true test is always how it sounds in with your full mix. So you want to make sure the track you're EQing is going to work in with everything else in the mix. So I hope you found this video helpful. Leave a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. Don't forget to grab the free high pass filter setup cheat sheet, link in the description. And while you're down there, drop a comment about your biggest mixing challenge, as well as if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Up next, we're exploring 5 ways of using high pass filters in the mix. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
When all we do is talk, 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 it's not my fault. I can't get enough.